kicked X to the curb and I'm proud of myself, but I'm hopeless now. I tell all of you always to trust your gut. I, 28F, had been dating J, 29M, for over a year. We broke up at the end of February due to me finding out he was secretly talking to his ex who cheated on him and lives across the country. I was destroyed when I found this out. I was sick to my stomach for weeks after breaking up with him over it. The day after St. Patty's Day, I got a call early in the morning from his son, 10, asking where his dad was. This led to me unblocking him and reaching out as I was concerned. We decided afterward to talk about what had happened because I never got a full picture and had a lot of questions. He said that she had reached out to him because she had started going to AA and was giving the AA apology. She then supposedly added him on Snapchat. However, her Snapchat name was labeled as cousin. This is how I inevitably found out about their relationship, and his excuse was it was an old inside joke. They had been sending each other TikToks as well, but of course, everything else was deleted and scrubbed. I didn't buy any of the story other than the possible AA apology due to the fact he very clearly was deleting everything. I have dated 2 sober men, so I was understanding about it because I know how that goes. He had told me that he ended their friendship right after I broke up with him because he realized he didn't want her in his life again and that he knew not telling me about it off rip was wrong and would never happen again. He showed me an email that he had sent her, giving proof of the AA apology and proof of the final goodbye. I decided to give him another chance if we could both be open and share things like that. We were able to rebuild our relationship, and I thought it was going great. Going on trips together, many date nights, and fun activities with his son. Fast forward to a week ago. He had pulled up his phone and was trying to show me something, and I saw that his ex had shared a video a couple of weeks back. She was supposed to have been blocked. If he supposedly had some big goodbye conversation months ago, I think it's pretty freaking weird she'd message him out of the blue a meme video, and it's very coincidental that she somehow was all of a sudden not blocked. Once I saw the video, I knew there had to still have been communication going on. At that point, I already knew this relationship was done. I looked through his phone and saw nothing until I got to his Discord app. He is not a gamer, and I had no idea he had a Discord account. He only had one friend on there, and guess who it was? Yep. B, you guessed it. So basically, they've been talking this whole time. They were doing the Amazon movie share thing and watching movies together a couple of days after I went on his family trip to Florida and spent 24 hours in a car with his parents and son. He claimed they only spoke via Discord, but in the Discord messages, he talks about texting her. They talked the day with me, and he agreed to try and work on things. She came into town that week, I guess, and he picked her up from the airport, offered for her to stay the night, said he'd take work off so he can have time to hang with her, even if it's just for an hour, wanted to spend time with her on his birthday. A lot of cringe on messages that reminded me of high schoolers talking on MySpace. Major ick. Here's where I went FBI mode and backed him into a corner. I know this was toxic, but with how involved I was, I could not stand to take the high road. Remember how I said he showed me proof of an email between them? Well, that email was a fake email he created. This dumbass made his main email the recovery email for this fake account. When I called him out on it, he told me it could have been her way of trying to reach out and get attention. Later that night, I hacked into his email by sending the 2-step authentication code to his phone, allowing me to get in on my phone when I plugged the code in, got the password reset for the Discord account, changed the email to my email address and requested a data pull from Discord, meaning they'd send me an email with all chat history and anything else, so I got to read everything with timestamps. I did not tell him about this until I said goodbye. When I called him out about the fake email, he begged me to stay, so I told him to draft up an email to send her as the final nail in the coffin. Meanwhile, I knew in my head I was out, but I wanted to see this play out. So, he sent her this long email that he wrote. I made sure he sent it to all of the different email addresses he had to make sure he wasn't effing around again, and within 2 seconds, not kidding, she started blowing up his phone. Calling 50 times. Again, she was supposed to be blocked, so he clearly blocked a fake number. Sent him emails. I'm so confused, what is going on? Who's the girl you're talking about in this email? This is exactly what I wanted. She had no effing clue he's been in a relationship. Why would he tell her anyway since she lives so far away? I wanted him to F himself over and have no one on the back burner, so he was completely alone. Later that night, I sent her a DM myself, letting her know he was effing us both over. After that, I sent him a final goodbye text with the Excel spreadsheet Discord sent me of their entire chat log. What I think is crazy is that he had me so involved in his life in every way. His parents loved me, his son loved me and wanted us to get married, and I loved him, always had a good time with his friends, talked about our future together. All that jazz. We'd hang out almost every day of the week. We truly always had a good time together. We were best friends. However, he heavily relied on me for his happiness, which was a big red flag, but that's why all of this was so shocking. I was his happiness, I was his best friend, I was so involved with his child. I do not understand how someone could be so two-faced and this big of a compulsive liar. I had given him so many opportunities, just to be honest, but nope. Only admitted once I got the cold hard proof. I've been handling this pretty well. Better than the last breakup with him, that's for sure. It's kind of the fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me feeling. I have a great support system, so I'm fortunate. I love my husband and he's an amazing man, but we have flaws like everyone else. We both aged out of foster care and met at a youth fulfillment program, basically a work camp that helps kids with no families learn the fundamentals for living, finances, certificates, as needed. We were both 18 and stayed in contact after the program ended. He made it clear he liked me, but I was truly petrified of men at that point in my life due to past experiences and rejected him a bit harshly. I reached out to apologize and we became friends. Then a year or two later I saw he posted on Snapchat he was in my area. I asked if he would want to go on a date so I could practice being comfortable around guys and he agreed. He never made a move, never touched me, never made weird eye contact. If I said no he didn't ask a second time, not even as a suggestion. We went on these platonic dates for months with nothing happening, and one day I asked for a hug and then asked for a kiss and he asked me to be his girlfriend. We got married a year after and our 7-year anniversary is around the corner. We agreed we would not even think about having kids until we were older since both of us were the product of young parents. We've really just only focused on getting by on using as little money as possible and saving up every dime to buy a house. Thankfully, we got our house a few months ago and we were both able to quit our second jobs and for the first time only work regular 9-5s. Yay! I've discovered I really like gardening and baking and I love having a real home. We have been discussing adding to our family by having a baby and I feel very ready to be a mom. Scared still, yes, but ready. But my husband brought up how sad I would be if I had to quit since I've worked so hard. I told him I had zero plans to quit, I would only take maternity leave. Plus my company allows maternal and paternal remote options for 1 year after birth, so I can just work from home if needed. I know it's a lot to do with a newborn, but giving up the security of my paycheck is simply not an option. He told me this was what we worked for, to make our own perfect family opposite from what ours were like, and I was blindsiding him by changing my plans and I told him no plan has changed, I can have a career and be a mom. Plenty of women do it. He doesn't have to quit his job to be a dad, so why should I? He said it wouldn't work for a baby's needs and I told him okay, since I make more money than you do why don't you quit and I go back to work remotely after healing from birth. That way we have both hands on deck and we don't have a severe loss of income as I make $89K/year and he makes $52K/year. He mentioned that if I trusted him fully this shouldn't be a problem. I told him I trust him but I don't trust our current economy, but I left out that I really do genuinely think quitting my job with no savings, wiped out by getting the house, and relying on a man is absolutely stupid. He had plans made previously with his parents and had to leave, so we said we would pick the conversation back up when he gets home, but he's very, very upset. Madder than I have ever seen him and I don't understand why he just assumed I would quit. Not only do I not understand it, but it makes me trust him a lot less than I did yesterday. I have a bad habit of running for the hills when problems come up and not gonna lie, this is making me really nervous. Thank you for reading all of this if you have. I'm open ears to what could be going through his mind or why he is thinking like this, really just doesn't seem logical to me. He's been watching all of these videos of stay-home wives/girlfriends and do feel like this is influencing him a lot. What is the saddest thing that happened to you that you never shared with others before? I was 16 years old and I was doing my driving lessons with my mother in the car. I had driven so many times prior to this, of course. Anyway, I was heading back along the road that lead back toward where we lived. The speed limit was 50k and I was doing it right. Driving along an intersection just 2 blocks from our home, a minibus runs his red light and hits our car. My mom somehow managed to push me right back against the seat probably about 0.02 seconds before it collided into us. We flipped once and smacked into 2 other cars also at the lights. I passed out at some point because the next thing I see is the clinical white of a hospital room. I panicked like a crazy person, which sent my heart rate rising through the roof. The pain was coming from my ribs where a few had broken. I had a long gash down the side of my face where the glass smashed and a few bruises here and there and whiplash. I was given some morphine and a mild sedative. This time I woke up realizing I was more injured than a few broken ribs. Calming down, I only now realized that I couldn't feel anything from the waist down. I wasn't silly, I knew what that meant when I tried and failed to move my toes. Now this moment of heartbreak for me at realizing I had been partially paralyzed was confirmed on the chart on the head of my bed. The first person I started crying for was my mom. I wondered if she had been okay and gone home, and wanting to check I called a nurse via the emergency button. She had the doctor with her. He wanted to tell me about my broken back and where on my spine had been severed slightly by its own disc. I was of course still panicked about this news as it was, and I wanted either mom or dad or even one of my brothers in with me. And that is when he told me. The little nurse grabbed my hand and the doctor told me in minor detail what had happened. Because she had had that moment of panic and wanting to protect me, she got the full brunt of the collision. I won't go into detail. But her face was barely recognizable and her neck had snapped and her chest crushed. They said she would have died instantly when the man's car hit ours, so she wouldn't have suffered. Almost every day since then I will have a brief moment where I think about how that could have been me. It probably should have, as it was my side the man ran the red from. And I will always blame myself for her death. Usually I would come home a different way. I should have ignored her and stuck to my usual way, but mom was adamant to prove herself right and that her way was quicker. I haven't told many people about me blaming myself or how I hate the fact I had been too worried when I woke from the accident that I hadn't even thought of her right away. Not that it would have made a difference, of course, because she had passed on, but it's just the thought. So when I got out of the hospital with my wheelchair, I thought of the fact I had no use of my leg as punishment, the least I deserved. I felt horrible because my dad wanted to grieve for his wife but instead was too busy having to help me with everything, as it was hard to do at first. This was when I developed an addiction for morphine. I used the stuff so regularly and they continued giving me the prescription for my pain. Poor dad was so upset and just a bit quieter than usual, so it's no surprise I was able to take loads of narcotics right there in his house. I moved out of home a year later when I finished high school and went to university in another state. I was using morphine so regularly that it started having zero effect on me. I didn't stop, I just started having oxycodone and Valium with the morphine or instead of it. Never went any further than those 3. I did 4 years of uni in Canberra before heading back to Sydney to finish up my degree there. One look at the weight loss, which should have been a wrong gain with me in a damned wheelchair doing no exercise, and of course he convinced me to get treatment to come down slowly from them. And I did. I got completely clean and sober and haven't had oxy or Val or morphine since. which has been 7 and a bit years now. While doing my rehab at the hospital, I started doing rehab for my back and legs as well. And since that is all sad, I will end it with something super positive. I can walk again and have feeling in most of my legs. The right side of my foot and ankle I can't feel at all, but the rest is fine. So despite the doctor saying it couldn't happen and I would never walk again, I did. Of course I still have moments where I can't get up or can't get out of bed in the morning, and every so often will have to pull the leg braces and frame that I had used to learn for support. I've been walking on and off for the last 4 years now, depending on pain and movability. Part of me still thinks I deserve the wheelchair, but another part of me knows that Mom would never want that and that she would be happy I was walking.